He's gonna let you down. Hello, everyone. It's Charlton. Please subscribe to my channel. Tap the notification bell. I appreciate it majorly. So, I saw a few headlines about this. About this woman. The richest woman, and she at one point was basically billed as the richest woman, known to be the richest woman in Africa, reported that way. I don't know if you remember this. I've talked about these, many times. Lev Parnas, have talked about him tons. His time when he's in the Ritz-Carlton Hotel, these are his notes. He's speaking to Giuliani over the phone, and one of the things he writes down, it's number 4. 3, 1, 2, 3, and 4, was hire Robert Strike, lobbyist, or Brian Ballard. Robert Strike. So, that's how I ended up looking into Robert Strike, but I'll circle back around to that. So there's this story out there. It's in lots of places about Isabel dos what's her name? Isabel dos Santos. And she's the daughter of the president of Angola, an African country, which is rather wealthy with natural resources, I think oil and diamonds, among other things. And like I said, at one point she was reported to be the wealthiest woman in Africa with a net worth of like $2.3 billion. And right now, she's been named as a suspect in an investigation that involves a number of her business dealings, which I'm not here to review, okay? I'm just here to show you, it's not funny, but, from my perspective, when I'm looking at all these things, it's just like, it is hilarious I'm like, I wonder if, and I type something in, and sure enough, there it is. But I'll just focus on the headlines so you get at least a small picture of kind of, one of the things I think I saw was this article first. I saw her name and I saw the headline, and then I saw, I think, this headline over at BBC where it says Isabel dos Santos, banker found dead in Lisbon, which is in Portugal. Okay, and this is she and this other individual were named as suspects, and within days, the other individual was found dead. I don't know where he was found dead, if he was found dead in his office or at home. And, according to Portugal authorities, not that I necessarily trust Portugal authorities. I don't necessarily trust our authorities, because our government, led by Trump, is just so out of control, corrupt, and that's not even the right word anymore. It's been turned over. It's absolutely nuts. But a banker implicated in the embezzlement and money laundering case against Africa's richest woman, Isabel dos Santos, has been found dead in Lisbon. Nuno Ribeiro da Cunha, 45, managed the account of oil firm Sonoran, formerly chaired by Ms. dos Santos, which is a Angola oil firm, as I understand it. It might be the state-run one, not absolutely certain, at the small Portuguese lender Eurobank. His death on Wednesday was reported on Thursday, soon after Angolan prosecutors named both as suspects. Ms. dos Santos denies alleged corruption revealed by leaked documents. It's Luanda Leaks. There was some massive trove of documents, 700,000 documents that were leaked to various reporters, The Guardian and others, I think many of them European outlets, that sort of brought this all out into the open, okay? And now the Angolan president, who basically succeeded her father, and I don't know if her father named that person, I think he maybe did, is basically pressing for an investigation into this matter, pressing for her extradition back to the country to face charges on that. And she's presently in, I believe, the United Kingdom, although a lot of her business interests are in, based in Portugal. I'm not sure what's up with Portugal, but it goes way beyond that. Please, believe me, stay to the end. And they've frozen her assets in Angola, but the vast majority, and probably even way more, of her assets are outside of the country, in Portugal. But in any event, Mr. Da Cunha was found dead at one of his properties, in Lisbon. A police source told Portuguese media that everything points to suicide. Local media quoted police as saying that Mr. Da Cunha had already attempted to kill himself this month and has been suffering from depression. On Wednesday, Eurobank said it would end its business relationship with Ms. dos Santos, who is reportedly the bank's main shareholder through two companies she owns. It was later reported as saying that Ms. dos Santos, that woman, was selling her capital stake in the bank. The bank added that it would investigate transfers worth tens of millions of dollars she had made. Some of the transfers drained Sonoran's account at Eurobank. The New York Times reported. There's tons, and I can't read every article down to I'll completely lose you. But there's many of different transactions in various business interests, and she's being accused of basically exploiting the country that her father was president of, because of her relationship to her father, and she denies this naturally. So that's basically it, and I can read more, but why bother? As Angola accuses billionaire Isabel dos Santos of fraud, her empire begins to unravel. Over at the New York Times, which is not, it's just from, when was that written? How U.S. firms helped Africa's richest woman exploit her country's wealth, and there she is at, with famous stars. I think that's Paris Hilton, and that's whatever that guy's name is. I forget his name. Actually, he was on the Jeffrey Epstein jet, wasn't he? What's his name, dude? Chris Tucker. He was. And it's interesting because a lot of the financial transactions that she's accused of making to siphon off funds go to obscure countries, Maltese and places like that, or Malta, I can't remember exactly, that are in shell accounts and very difficult and are hidden, much like what Epstein was an expert in. But I'm not here to dig into that, for now. But this article, that says the headline reads how U.S. firms helped Africa's richest woman exploit her country's wealth, and it talks about a couple different firms that have worked with her. That's not what I'm talking about. A different U.S. firm that I just happen to be looking into. Okay. And, just the coincidences are just hilarious, man. And it's whatever. So let me just cruise through. Luanda Leaks are an anti-corruption landmark. And then it goes into this article. I'll just paraphrase it. Goes over those Luanda Leaks to some extent. And also, it forewarns you that the president of Angola he has his own, corruption issues that he hasn't addressed, and so there's a lot. Everybody is corrupt, man. But I'm talking about traitors to us and to just humanity, to the United States, and just to people, traitors to their own country. These people are awful, man. So, but let me just read through it, just so you know what Luanda Leaks is. It's just, I don't know, dude. That resembles WikiLeaks a lot, but I think this might be a little bit of the other way around, where it's not. I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know a ton about it. I don't know what's in those 700,000 documents, but it seems like instead of WikiLeaks, this is like the opposite of WikiLeaks, but maybe not. I'm not positive. Luanda Leaks investigation is a landmark moment for Angola. Revealed how Princess of Angola built $2 billion fortune January 20th. It should be a landmark moment for the world. The revelation should inform the criminal investigation in Isabel dos Santos that is already underway. The investigation must follow due process. Angola vows to force dos Santos to return January 21st. It ought to be remembered that Joao Lourenço's anti-corruption drive has not been undertaken in an even-handed manner. I think that's the president took over from her father. If the president is truly to truly deserve the tag of the terminator of corruption, he can no longer ignore allegations of graft against those close to him. Moreover, PwC, which is Price Waterhouse Cooper, which she reportedly did a lot of her business, arranged, basically audited and helped, as a business consultant to a lot of her business dealings. Moreover, PwC, Accenture, and other professional service firms implicated in reports by The Guardian and the International Consortium of Investigative Journalists must hold transparent investigations and cooperate with law enforcement. Heads could roll at PricewaterhouseCoopers over firms linked to the richest woman in Africa, January 22nd. Regulatory bodies should hold those firms to account. Ultimately, they must be subject to stronger legal requirements to screen their clients on an ongoing basis and to report suspicious activity to law enforcement. And there is a need for the UK and other governments to crack down on the tax havens that are used to facilitate corrupt deals. That's what I was just talking about a second ago. And I don't know why the UK comes into it. If a lot of these financial professionals that set up these deals are based in the United Kingdom, most likely London, which is where I believe she is at the moment. So, if I could just, now it's just headlines. I'm just reading headlines here. So, I think I already read this one. As Angola accuses billionaire Isabel dos Santos of fraud, her empire begins to unravel. This is the one about the banker who's been named as a suspect along with her and who's now dead because they suspect suicide, but who the heck knows? That's the note from Lev Parnas about Robert Strike. And the reason I was bringing this up, I saw these headlines and I read some of it. And I just happened to be, chilling. And I know I was looking into Robert Strike, and this is the FAR Registration and Foreign Agent Registration Act, where you can go and see what filings various lobbying firms have made when they're about to represent foreign interests, in the United States to put out positive media on them or lobby the U.S. government on their behalf, And I saw at Robert Strike's firm, Sonoran Policy Group. And he owns a winery in Northern California. I think he ran for mayor in that Northern California town. I forget what the name of it is. I saw him speaking on what his platform is. And but the company's based in Arizona, in Phoenix. Okay, and I came across him in another matter, but I just want to keep going. But it's in Phoenix. So, but Terra Peregrin, I was just what's that? Part of the reason it stood out to me because there's one so recent, one right in January, January 10th, only 2 weeks ago. And, SA, I know that's usually, that's like incorporated for the United States. It usually means like a South American or European firm. And it's some large conglomerate or some large incorporated entity, but whatever, it doesn't matter. And that's just what SA means. But when I looked up Terra, actually, I didn't even need to, actually. I spotted it right away. But Terrapin is to the best of my knowledge, it's a telecommunications company that originated out of Angola. Okay. And, this is the Wall Street Journal. Africa's wealthiest woman seeks to take over Portugal. And this is way back in 2014, but that's what came up when I searched, Terra Peregrin, which is a Portugal firm. But the Africa's wealthiest woman, it's not a Portugal firm. They sought to take over a Portugal telecommunications, which failed. She basically withdrew the bid the company said the bid was way too low, and she bailed on it. And a lot of her, for some reason, a lot of her business interests are in business dealings are in Portugal. A firm controlled by a daughter of Angola's president is offering 1.2 billion, about 1.5 billion American dollars, I think that's euros, to take over the Portugal telecommunications, to take over Portugal Telecom, SGPS, a holding company that owns a stake in Brazilian telecom operator OISA. Terra Peregrin, controlled by Isabel dos Santos, said late Sunday it would pay 1.35 per share of Portugal Telecom. But that's Terra Peregrin is Isabel dos Santos, and it says it right in the filing. Okay, it's not. I mean, there's Terra. This is the most recent one that actually names the country, because the one before it, which I assume it's the same thing. I mean, the name of the company is right there. Her name's not in these short form filings or whatever this is. This is an amendment. It doesn't say what. It's an exhibit A, B. I don't know. But some of these forms, there's no information. You can't glean anything from it. But this one actually has Terra Peregrin SA, and the foreign principal is an organization is not owned or controlled by a foreign government, foreign political party, or other foreign principal state who owns and controls it. If the foreign principal is an organization and is not owned or controlled by a foreign government, foreign political party, or other foreign principal state who owns and controls it. I mean, these legal languages, I'm just rereading that for you. There's her name. Isabel dos Santos, and like I just said, controlled by Terra Peregrin, controlled by Isabel dos Santos. She may have, no, I don't know what her stake is in that. I don't know if that was, because that was Eurobic. This article here about the banker who supposedly committed suicide, and I think she sold her shares in that bank company based in Portugal. So, I mean, that's not the end of it, though. I mean, obviously, I mean, this is America first here, okay? I mean, this is America first and drain the swamp. This is a Trump person, right? A pro-Trump lobbyist that, one of many people who have set up shop in Washington to do what Tony Podesta used to do. And Tony Podesta wasn't the only person doing these things, but he was one of the main prominent ones. Tony Podesta, who's the brother of John Podesta, who was the campaign chairman of the Hillary 2016 presidential campaign, lobbying on behalf of very, very questionable persons and governments around the globe that to lobby on their behalf of the United States. But like I said, it didn't end there, because I was just like, I wonder, I mean, like, even though she is the daughter of the president of Angola, this country in Africa that's apparently, actually possesses a fair amount of wealth and natural resources, diamond and oil, maybe other things. I was just like, I wonder if somehow she's connected to Russia. And, right away, I found out she is, man. Her mom is Russian. She speaks fluent Russian. And in fact, what this article says is that, it talks about, is Africa's richest woman a Russian citizen? And she says, according to her, she says, something about, are you still, she basically says, she was born in Azerbaijan. Azerbaijan, to her mom and her dad, who would later go back to Angola, who's Angolan, and become president of Angola for 4 decades, for 40 years. I don't know how he managed to do that. I don't. But her mom is pure Russian, okay? I'll play the article. And, basically it says that people who were born in the former Soviet Union in Azerbaijan, which is just north of Iran, at the time they were citizens of Russia, but when they leave in order to get their Russian citizenship, they have to apply to reinstate it, and there's a process for that. But she was saying, I'm a Russian citizen. I never stopped being one because I was born there. Something like that. I didn't do a good job explaining that, but that's just life. And this article, this news article actually says that her being, her reinstating her citizenship in Russia, because they think she might end up fleeing to Russia. Okay, if this investigation gets, close to her. But that her citizenship was reinstated, personally handled or achieved by Putin, and that's just is, dude. I mean, that's just what it says, okay? On January 9th, the Russian state-owned news agency TASS reported that Isabel dos Santos, the daughter of Angola's former president, Jose Eduardo dos Santos, once ranked by Forbes magazine as Africa's richest woman, is a citizen of Russia. Isabel dos Santos' ties to Russia have been the subject of journalistic investigations for nearly a decade. But the issue heated up more recently with corruption allegations made by the Angolan government against dos Santos, her husband, and another businessman. I think that businessman is now dead. She has been living outside Angola for several years. In December, an Angolan court froze her assets. Reuters cited a court document alleging that Dos Santos and others were responsible for more than $1 billion in losses to the state. Dos Santos and an associate were accused of attempting to transfer 10 million euros to Russia. Portuguese news outlets, including Jornal Econômico and Expresso, reported this month that Dos Santos did business with the Russian state oil giant Rosneft in several countries, including Mozambique, Iraq, and Turkey. She also owns a 25% stake in Nafta, an oil and gas company in Azerbaijan. The ability to claim Russian citizenship could prove important to Dos Santos in order to protect her foreign assets from being seized by the Angolan government. Russia protects its citizens and assets from foreign or international prosecution under Article 61 of its constitution. Dos Santos claims the corruption accusations against her are false and politically motivated, and she called the media investigation fake. Fake! She's fake. It's fake news, dude. Who's that sound like? The corruption case was brought under the administration of Angolan President João Lourenço, elected in 2017 to replace Dos Santos' father, Jose Eduardo. So let me just play a portion of this and, start to wrap this up, dude. Let me start.
Have a role. My family doesn't necessarily have a role.
On January 9th, the Russian state-owned news agency TASS reported that Isabel dos Santos, the daughter of Angola's former president, once ranked by Forbes magazine as Africa's richest woman, is a citizen of Russia. She says, quote, "I am Russian by birth. I did not restore my citizenship. I always kept it. This is misleading." Reuters cited a court document alleging that the woman, her husband, and another businessman were responsible for more than $1 billion in losses to the state. Dos Santos and an associate were accused of attempting to transfer 10 million euros to Russia. The ability to claim Russian citizenship could prove important to Dos Santos in order to protect her foreign assets from being seized by the Angolan government. Isabel dos Santos was born in 1973 in what was then the Azerbaijan Soviet Socialist Republic. Her father, Jose Eduardo dos Santos, is Angolan, and her mother, Tatiana Kukanova, is Russian. The couple moved with their baby daughter to Angola, where Jose Eduardo dos Santos became Angola's president. Under Russia's citizenship law, persons born in former Soviet republics other than Russia, like Azerbaijan, do not automatically inherit Russian citizenship from a Russian parent and must apply to restore it. Several Russian lawyers who specialize in such restoration confirmed that Isabel dos Santos would be required to reapply for her Russian citizenship, which she said she did not do. The Portuguese news outlet Jornal Econômico reported that dos Santos became a Russian citizen in a process directed by President Vladimir Putin.
All right, man. So that, you heard it there. I had no idea about these things. Okay, I was looking at Robert's strike because I was just checking him out because of Lev Parnas, and I was just seeing if if there was anything that stood out to me. Right away, there's one of the most recent filings that his company is filing to represent this woman. It seems, and I just happened to look up. I wonder if she's got a connection to Russia. And sure enough, you just heard all this about her father. She was born in Azerbaijan when it was still part of the Soviet Union. And her father's wife, her mother, is Russian. I didn't catch her name. I missed it already. And this article is about if she does end up going to Russia, because investigators seem to be succeeding in their case against her. She'll need her Russian citizenship, and she says, she didn't apply to reinstate her citizenship in Russia. And she was born in Russia, and she's a Russian citizen, or she was born in the Soviet Union, so she never stopped being a Russian citizen. But this article is explaining that that's not absolutely correct. Those who were born in the countries that were part of the Soviet Union but weren't actually Russia, in order to retain your citizenship, if you leave the country, something like that, you have to reinstate it. You have to reapply. But she never did, and somehow it was basically handled, according to this report, personally by Putin, or obviously somebody. He didn't do the application for her, but somebody very close to Putin got it done. And so she is a citizen of Russia, even though she's living in London, to the best of my knowledge. That's the story there. Thanks for watching my videos. Please subscribe to my channel. America first, Trump, drain the swamp is a bunch of baloney, man. And these people are traitors, dude. Totally, 100%. And it's pretty sad, Thanks for watching my videos. Please subscribe to my channel. Give me a like down below. I'll see you in the next video. Later, man.